Hi, I'm Brian Nix, and this is Half-Baked Homilies, short-form meditations on the weekly lectionary readings. Finding the right response to suffering in this world is one of the most harrowing responsibilities that we have as Christians. Suffering is at the very heart of the gospel. Christ's sacrifice, from the incarnation to the cross, sacrifice is essential to the divine activity in Jesus Christ. This essential element of the gospel has implications for our own encounters with suffering in our faith. Problem is, it's not always clear what Christian suffering is. The same doctrine has been used to justify prolonging abusive situations in relationships, families, and even churches. The reading, 1 Peter 2, starting in verse 19, says this, "For this is a gracious thing. When mindful of God, one endures sorrows while suffering unjustly. For what credit is it if when you sin and are beaten for it, you endure? But if when you do good and suffer for it, you endure, this is a gracious thing in the sight of God. For to this you have been called, for Christ also suffered for you, leaving an example so that you might follow in his steps. He committed no sin, neither was deceit found in his mouth. When he reviled, he did not revile in return. And when he suffered, he did not threaten, but continued entrusting himself to him who judges justly. He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, that we might die to sin and live to righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed, for you were straying like sheep, but have now returned to the shepherd and overseer of your souls." 1 Peter makes it clear. We are called to suffer. But the manner of suffering is specific. It isn't an aimless suffering. It's a suffering in the same manner of Jesus Christ. In fact, the way I would characterize it is co-suffering. Looking into someone's brokenness, just as Christ looked into our brokenness, not judging them, but entering into it yourself in the hopes of redemption. Even this articulation, though, and I admit I'm not perfect, but this articulation has potential for abuse. But this general call to be willing to invest in other people, even when it comes at a price, is essential to Christian faith. It's so easy to live isolated lives nowadays. We can curate our social circles and create our own bubbles of comfortability. But Christ calls us out of those bubbles and into the messiness of life together. It may not always be pretty, but it's the gospel, and it's worth it. Grace and peace.